Alright, what's going on, guys? Back with another recap video. Today was the first official day of trading, or back trading for the new year. Caught two dubs, both pretty much half size, so we made a full day's worth of money. And yeah, we're gonna get into the recap on the two trades. Let's start a market open. Yes, it's just not gonna work for me. Classic. Okay. Um, right off market open. We were kind of for our bias, really could have went either way. Um, if we look at the daily chart here, we can see we inverse a daily gap to the downside, but then got a reaction coming back up. Could have thought we were just bullish off of that, just because of our reaction with today's price action. But if we really go to the 4-hour, the biggest thing here was if we check ES creates an SMT off market open, and we'll get to that in a second once we start the market open. But the 4-hour, it was clear that ES was going to hit these highs before MNQ, so we were thinking then bearish from that point, right? Why are we thinking bearish? Because we were going to ES was going to hit 4-hour highs, and we were going to create an SMT. So if we got a reaction out of that, that's definitely a valid way to take shorts. Other than that, we kind of were playing more reactionary. We want to see just like how things would form during the market, because there isn't a clear tell of if we're going to be bearish or bullish on the day. 1-hour chart kind of tells the same story. But anyway, so get to market open here. So we can see here, market opens, and we create this SMT. So this lined SMT is that high that I was talking about. ES ended up hitting it, and NQ didn't. So we have a huge external SMT. Getting a nice reaction out of it. The only gap here was a 30-second gap, and you can see on the next candle, it closes down here. The gap was like right about here, the 30-second one. Actually, it was more like here. But that's where the 30-second gap was. So we take it. So we got in here. Again, why did we get in? We had external SMT. We also had this little internal SMT with these two candles. Little internal SMT there. We're respecting a 4-hour high on ES. And since we have this SMT, it will also get, like, we're getting rejections out of it on MNQ as well. And we had clear targets below. We still had London low, we had Asia low, and we had a little new week opening gap that still had not been filled. So clear targets below. And more recently, we had all this kind of LR that was building up over time to take to these lows. But we aim to go 1-to-1. However, we got a really bad candle as our first one. You could see this. It ended up flipping bearish right at the end, but you could see the wick came all the way into, like, we almost got tapped out, came back. We end up trailing, so we went break even, we started trailing, and we actually took half profit halfway through, so we were targeting 46 points. We ended up taking half at the midway, and then trailing the rest of it, so we were break even with half, and we already got out for half. But what ended up happening was we had a push, so I brought my stop loss to just the halfway point again, just to trail. It came back and then ended up getting full TP, but really I got it for 25 points, which is fine. So I stayed on for another trade. But that being said, we create a 5-minute on the way down, right? Create a 5-minute on the way down. The only thing that gets tricky is we end up respecting both of these 15-minute gaps, like very strongly. Like we didn't get any inversion off of them. However, we still had this bearish SMT, and when we check the 5-minute, we open up a 5-minute, and we get a nice tap into it. Price doesn't really do anything for a bit. It actually comes up a bit, but this price coming up actually helped because on ES, it ended up taking out the New York AM high. And usually when you create 930 or like New York AM high or New York AM low SMTs, they become very strong. They're actually really good SMTs to use. So that being said, where's my bar? So that being said, uh, again, we're thinking bearish. Even though we respected these 15-minute gaps I showed before, we're still thinking bearish because of just these SMTs that we have. We create both SMTs, and then we get a nice reaction right out of the 5-minute, inversing a 30-second gap. The inversion happened, I think, here, but we got in a little late. Got in to go 1-to-1, so 35 and 35. But again, we had such great momentum, we instantly went break even. And then we started trailing our break even point. And I basically got out about at like the halfway point again for the 19. I was just trailing it because you could see it actually came back. It actually would have hit TP and then came back to break even, but I was fine with trailing it halfway just because 2 half wins is equal, obviously, to a full win. So I won full money today. Biggest thing to know is SMTs and how they work, because the SMTs were huge with taking both of these trades, and then obviously just like bouncing off the gaps, the 5-minute gap we bounced off of, and then clear targets below, which is why we became bearish after we took out those highs, because we had all these lows that probably needed to be taken out. This is still during New York AM, so I wouldn't be surprised if we just keep dumping. If I get out. Let's see. Alright, we're kind of chopping around. Oh, this is another reason. The other reason we went, we trailed our stop losses to just a winning day is because this chop. It was really choppy throughout the entire day, and we didn't want to risk not having a winning day. So, but it worked out. Really bad price action. This isn't really the best. We'd like to see more direction to the downside. We're kind of just chopping, but hopefully that helps. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that's confusing, and I'll try to answer them. And yeah.